Good evening, everybody, and welcome tonight to day number 98. We are doing our best to make it through. I'm a little bit under the weather, and I'm not talking about the rain and the storms that are outside, but went through the family a couple of weeks ago, and I guess I found it. And that would be a cough, sore throat, my first earache since I was 9 years old. 49 years old, and I found another earache. You know, I'm glad I don't have those quite often anymore. Not feeling too hot. Not COVID. I was tested for that this morning, and then the joys of living in a small town. Called my doctor. Said, Doc, I'm not doing too well. You have COVID? No, sir. Checked it. All right. Prescription's on the way. So very thankful to my doctor. But you know, that made me think of something. How simple that was for me this morning. You know, I've got whatever it is, strep throat or something. I don't know, probably strep throat. Anybody want to blow in my microphone here? Hey, Gani King, God bless you there in Philippines. But it was as simple as call my doctor and head to Walmart. That can't happen in Ukraine. The other thing is, even though you're 49 years old, a wife, kids, your mother still takes care of you. So my mother went to Walmart and got me some sore throat max strength chloroseptic. We're going to hit that joker. And now we're ready to go. So thank you. You know, I saw this comment. Hey, I can do this under the weather. They're in a stinking war zone. So no, committed. In fact, Jania and I were already planning today, day 100, because the war's not going to end before that. And we're going to have some special things. Rainwater Game says 98 days. Does anyone else feel like NATO and the USA are helping Ukraine just enough to keep them in the meat grinder? Killed 100 soldiers a day, but not enough to actually give them victory. Exactly. Beardy Day, welcome to you. What? No chicken soup? Yeah, we'll drop some chicken soup on it here in a little while. In fact, mother-in-law, if you're watching, I need some good chicken soup. Mother-in-law can make good chicken soup. Actually, Ricochet, you can't say that because we have a great church here, and I need to back all that up because tomorrow I'll have 10 pots of chicken soup on my front porch. But if somebody wants to bring some, that would be great. Oh my. All right, guys, here we're going to get to it. I've got so much. If you see me pull the mic down, it's just trying to kick it off. And not cough in your ear, even though it's online. So I want to start here tonight. I'm going to go right here. And I want you guys to look at that map. And while we're still talking at our little intro here, can anybody tell me where that is? Where is that? Hint, hint, not Ukraine. Should see a couple of things in there. I can make it even a little bigger for you there. I'll let you guys think about that. Ricochet, you don't have to worry about that. Where is this? Very important. Very, very important. And I know we keep talking about this, but this is just going to continue. So we're just going to ask, where is that? And this is key. This is very, very key. Because right now the world is so destabilized with weak leadership throughout the world. In fact, Jania is going to have a little something to say about that in a few moments. It looks like the world is continuing to destabilize, not only with China looking at Taiwan, but also this situation right here. And that is even before we get into Ukraine. Good evening, all. Greg, hope you feel better soon. Prayer and support for Ukraine. Looking forward to the insights you have for us tonight. Lynn and Harold, my baseball man. Yes, sir. Bless all you guys on Facebook. I'm just popping over there a second. While you're thinking about it, I want to also lay the foundation tonight before we get going. Never mind. Didn't take Ricochet too long. Syria, Turkey. Rainwater, Turkey. All right, you guys. Smart guys. Yeah. Turkey begins. It was announced officially within the last few hours that Turkey has officially began their special operation to remove terrorists in a 30-kilometer buffer zone with two main targets into the sovereign territory of Syria. So not only do we have the war in Ukraine, we have China and Taiwan heating up. We have Japan telling Russia, get off of our islands, the Kuril Islands. And now we've got Erdogan, who's trying to negotiate peace between Russia and Ukraine, deciding that Turkey's going to do a special operation and create more of a buffer zone for them. Folks, we're so close to a global meltdown here. And I'm not referring, nuclear meltdown. A lot of you guys are my age or older. I'm just talking a meltdown in general of civility in our world and anything that we consider even close to normal. And it's happening. So Turkey begins their special operation. Does that connect to Russia and Ukraine? Sure it will. If it continues, absolutely it will. Why will it connect to Russia and Ukraine? Because Russia is the one fighting in Syria as well. They've already had to rotate some troops out of Syria. You've just got a global mess. And, by the way, all of it continues to just inch closer to Israel. All right, we're going to start here tonight, and then I'm going to flow through the things that I have for you. I've got two great video clips, actually three, that I'm going to share with you tonight. But we're going to start with the nutsos in Moscow, because this will actually set the stage for the things that we're going to talk about throughout this update. So turn it up, and here you go.
Началась самая настоящая война, причем война Третья мировая. Мы вынуждены заниматься демилитаризацией не просто Украины, а всего Североатлантического альянса.
Вот вы сказали по поводу Третьей мировой войны и того, что на территории Украины как действуют американцы, как действуют поляки. Действительно, нужно вернуться здесь к словам Владимира Владимировича Путина, который сказал, что все, кто попытаются мешать специальной военной операции, очень горько заплатят, поплатятся за то, что они делают.
Мы никогда не забываем об этих словах Владимира Владимировича Путина, но такое количество людей уже выстроились в очередь и пытаются помешать спецоперации России на территории Украины, что получается, надо как-то действовать. Спешить. А как можно действовать, не нанося ядерный удар, мы еще не придумали.
Польша, если она начнет какую-то интервенцию военную, она должна понимать, что нынешние границы Польши, они вообще гарантируются теми военными соглашениями, которые были после войны. Если они выходят из этих нынешних границ, то они обнуляют все соглашения послевоенные. А там много чего к Польше присоединено, и, соответственно, больше за границей Польши никто не даст ломаного гроша. Вот после того, как они перейдут свои границы. Они должны знать, что их существование сразу подвешивается на волоске.
Скорее про Великобританию, наверное, про Соединенные Штаты Америки. Оружие подъехало, оно прямо сейчас на фронтах.
Попозже.
Хорошо, давайте. Такие очередь из них.
Не спешите.
Не надо спешить. Есть очередь, не надо торопиться. Свое время.
Для нас война на Украине, я думаю, надо еще и под этим углом зрения ее рассматривать, это репетиция, возможно, будущего более крупного конфликта. И поэтому то, что мы испытаем, померяемся с натовским оружием, посмотрим реально на поле боя, насколько сильнее реально наше оружие их, это, может быть, будет школой для нашего будущего конфликта.
Жутковатый эксперимент.
Для нас с вами специальная военная операция – это первый акт, это вступление. Эти войны не первые. 19 век – Наполеон. 20 век – Адольф Алоизович Гитлер. И каждый раз приходила вся Европа. Сейчас то же самое. И у нас действительно нет права на ошибку. И очень хорошо, что сейчас приходит осознание, что надо перестать врать. Надо перестать врать самим себе, перестать врать руководителю, перестать врать собственному народу, а отвечать за свои слова, отвечать за поступки и всем идти вперед к цели, которая определена Верховным Главнокомандующим. В Священном Писании написано, что было, то и будет, что делалось, то и будет делаться, и нет ничего нового под солнцем. В 19 веке пришли в Париж.
Экклезиаст или проповедник.
В 20 веке пришли в Берлин. Придем туда, где пытаются нас с вами поработить и унизить. Не получится.
Хочу дать...
I could talk for an hour about those guys. Once again, I remind you, millions watch them. There's a couple of things I want to draw your attention to. Actually, 3. Number 1, I know when you do not know the language, you're really focused on reading the translation at the bottom. So maybe you missed these guys' titles. They're not just a talking head. Now, we know that Solovyov and the other cuckoos are, but they're deeply connected to the Kremlin. But the main speakers in that 3-minute clip I played for you were State Duma members, meaning senators, House of Representatives members, to think apples to apples, professors in the universities. That's number 1. Number 2, toward the end, let's go ahead and wax eloquent and quote the Holy Scriptures. We're on day 98, and at least 8 to 10 times throughout 98 days, we have tried to share with you that this is a holy war. Now, don't get too theological on me. Not holy as in separate other glorias, but holy as in religious war. They're quoting scriptures, validating what they do. And thirdly, tonight, I'm going to teach you something about Russian culture. I'm going to teach you about Ukrainian culture. Did you guys happen to see when the State Duma member named Adolf Hitler? Okay. I let me see if I can cut to this. Okay. Right here. Let me cut to this, and then I'm going to pause it.
19 век, Наполеон.
Right there. Now, I want you to look at that, and I'm going to teach you something. What do you see there? You see Adolf Aloisevich Hitler. And most of you watching the program tonight look at that and go, okay, I see Adolf and I see Hitler, but I don't know what that Aloisevich in the middle is. Well, I'm going to explain it to you right now. That is a State Duma member. And when you are speaking out of respect to a person, let me repeat that. In this language and in this culture, when you're speaking out of respect for someone, You name them by their middle name, which is actually their father's name. That is the utmost sign of respect. My name is Gregory Jason Terry, but my father's name is Bill. So if we were speaking Russian, my name would be Gregory Bilovich Terry. Zhenya's dad is Mikhail. So his official name, and with due respect, I would say Yevgen Mikhailovich Matsutsa. That is the most honorable way. That is why when you hear and read about people referring to Vladimir Putin, they say Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Why? It is the highest respect you can pay calling their name. Yes, he just referred to Adolf Hitler in the most respectful way. Here in our culture, we do not even want to say the name. It's that evil. You see what we're dealing with. And then at the end of it, we're going to call on the Holy Scriptures. Folks, I'm teaching you the truth here tonight. I'm teaching you the truth. It helps to know the language. Vladimir Zelensky, and I'm going to click through this, folks, because I can see my throat's a little weak. Vladimir Zelensky told in an interview with American newspaper Newsmax, and this is the first time on day 98 that we've officially heard numbers. We've known them, but not officially. President Zelensky himself said that between 60 and 100 Ukrainian soldiers die every day, and about 500 more are wounded. Let that sink in for a second. Let's call this 100 days of war, and let's put the number in the middle, 80. 8,000 soldiers will have died. And on day 100, 50,000 will be wounded. That is the real numbers directly from President Zelensky. Now, some of the updates today, I have two arrows on this map for you. The first one's on the left. Pretty interesting that after President Biden started adjusting his comments on what weapons would be coming to Ukraine, that there instantly was a missile strike on the left. See the explosion mark I put for you in the Lviv Oblast. Near Lviv, it's a transportation and rail hub where weapons and fuel are coming through. It was struck and it was hit today. Of course, direct statement back. You're going to send stuff in, we're going to stop it. To the right, you see the black arrow pointing at the city of Sumy. We talked about Sumy so much in the early days of the war. Well, right behind Sumy, Russia has reinforced to the point where Ukraine is actually expecting another invasion from the north, whether it would be through Sumy, through Chernihiv. For sure, they're not coming through Chernobyl. They learned that lesson. They have sent the Belarusians down next to Chernobyl, most likely Sumy or Chernihiv. And they are completely expecting that. Russia has been reinforcing the border, pulling up more soldiers and adding more equipment. It is nonstop. Major rail tunnel. Yes, it is. That's exactly where they hit. And it's a problem. It's a problem because a lot of material was coming through that area. Severodonetsk. I want to update you guys on Severodonetsk. I'm going to share with you a local report. It's translated into English. You will be able to actually hear the Ukrainian reporter with the translation over top of it. So this one's kind of cool. You can actually watch the video, not read, but listen and be there. But let me go ahead and tell you, basically Severodonetsk has fallen. It is not officially stated, but it's done. 90% as of right before going online is occupied. The flag is raised, and I can tell you the Ukrainian forces have retreated. I'm going to explain that to you right now. So on that map right there, you see the the red arrows in the yellow. It's where the Russian forces have pushed through. Not only the Russians are there, the Chechens are there fighting for the Russians. We showed you video of that last night. Ukraine was holding on to the western side to the western side of Severodonetsk, and they have actually pulled back now. Now, where have they pulled back to? The blue line through the middle of that image is actually the Donetsk River, and Ukraine and their forces have crossed the river and moved back to defensive positions in the city of Lysychansk. Now, Lysychansk is not going to be easy for Russia to get. Why? Because you can't tell this on this image, but Lysychansk is actually up on a hill. So coming out of Severodonetsk, it's kind of like a river bottom town. You cross the river and then you come up the hill to Lysychansk. And Ukraine is very, very fortified there with defensive positions. Now, of course, the shelling, the missile barrages, the air dominance will help Russia. But Ukraine is set up very strong there. And once again, this is why the necessity of longer range weapons is so vital to get there. So that's what is going on as far as Severodonetsk. You probably will hear, as I will, the next 24 hours or so, that it has fallen, because I can tell you 100% the forces have pulled back. So here you go. Give you a little image here, and you get to listen to this in English.
Most of the Ukrainian city of Severodonetsk is under the control of the Russian invaders. The head of the Luhansk Regional Military Administration, Serhiy Haidai, said this. The situation in the city is very complicated. Almost all critical infrastructure has been destroyed, and 90% of the residential buildings have been damaged. About half of the destroyed buildings are impossible to restore. Russian troops carried out an airstrike on a chemical plant, hit a tanker with nitric acid. As a result, a toxic cloud has risen over the city.
Combat is going on inside the city. Russian troops unfortunately control most of the city, but the fear that somewhere our military will be surrounded, this will not happen. There is an opportunity to maneuver. Serhiy Haidai, head of the Luhansk Regional Military Administration.
The Donetsk region is also under constant shelling. More than 300 settlements are out of power. Every day enemy shells kill civilians there.
Russia kills civilians. During May 31st, the Russians killed 4 civilians in Donbass, 3 in Slovyansk and 1 in Raihorodok. Pavlo Kyrylenko, head of the Donetsk Regional Military Administration.
In the Kharkiv region, elderly woman was killed by enemy shelling. 1 more woman was seriously wounded. The Russian occupiers have been shelling the village of Zolochiv for more than 10 hours using howitzers. The first explosions occurred at 8 in the morning and did not stop until 6 in the evening. Artillery shells also hit neighboring settlements. In the village of Ivanivka, a 12-year-old child was killed and 1 more person was wounded. A number of residential buildings were destroyed, including 2 schools. There were many buildings damaged. The situation remains tense but stable in the Kryvyi Rih direction. The enemy continues shelling the territory with all kinds of weapons and launching airstrikes on settlements.
Орки вынуждены усиливать свои оборонные позиции.
The orcs are forced to strengthen their defensive position. They are even removing slabs from roads in order to build their fortifications. They are also mining the Ingulets River. The occupiers continue shelling the entire contact line with all types of multiple rocket launchers, artillery and tank mortars.
The Russian troops launched 16 mines into the Sumy region. They hit border settlements. According to preliminary information, there were no casualties. In the south of Ukraine, Ukrainian armed forces have launched a counterattack, but the Russian occupiers are trying to resist them. The enemy launched a number of attacks on Mykolaiv using Pion self-propelled heavy artillery. Such units hit at long distances but with low accuracy. Thus, the enemy can attack the city targeting its suburbs. They also blew up the bridge over the Ingulets River.
While the enemy continues to cover the approaches to its position with artillery and mortar fire, it doesn't hesitate to fire cluster munition from Tornado-S multiple rocket launchers and Pion self-propelled 203mm heavy artillery at settlements. This is exactly how the city of Mykolaiv was hit today.
Meanwhile, in Mariupol, the Russian occupiers decided to appropriate foreign ships that are in the port. They called it nationalization. The same fate befalls the cars that the citizens left in the city. The invaders have already begun to gather even damaged cars from the streets and take them to the parking area of the Azovsky market.
If the owners do not come in a month, almost until July 1st, all the cars will be recognized as the property of the so-called Young Republic. The second step after the real estate inventory is that complete theft of the property of Mariupol residents that miraculously remained after aerial bombs, Grad and Smerch multiple launch rocket systems.
In the Izum direction, Ukrainian servicemen downed a Russian Ka-52 helicopter, also known as the Alligator. In addition, the Operational Command South reports that Ukraine's defenders eliminated 70% of the enemy army during the past day. 1 artillery unit, 2 anti-aircraft units, 2 howitzers, 4 units of armored vehicles and 5 units of automobile equipment were also destroyed. Reported by Roman Smoler, Mariana Krechet, UATV News.
I'll tell you what, folks, I've got a connection into some of these. Once again, Jania hooking me up, where I'm able occasionally to give you some stuff that's translated. Some of that's translated with a translator. Other parts of it, you can actually hear it's artificial intelligence, computer generated translation, but you're getting to hear it in your native language. So it's a big help. As you can see from that, it's crazy what's going on. In Ukraine, it's spread very thin, and unfortunately, Russian forces are now starting to push into Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. This is going to connect the line that I am thinking could potentially be the stop line if we were to get to that place. I'm not sure we will. I'm going to show you something in a minute that may confirm that. I'm not sure we will, but if we do, I think this would kind of be the stop line, and I want to show this to you. So you may not know where Dnipropetrovsk Oblast is. Let me share it with you here. We're going to go in the blue. This is Lugansk Oblast. Okay, and below that is the Donetsk Oblast. So Lugansk has the city of Lugansk as well as some smaller towns. It's a very rich region as far as mining is concerned. And then the Donetsk Oblast, of course, has the city of Donetsk, major city. And then, of course, Mariupol. Both of these oblasts are on the Russian border. The other oblast that is 30 to 40% covered is the Kharkiv Oblast. We also know that down here, a majority of the Zaporozhye Oblast is covered. And the entire Kherson Oblast is covered. And then Crimea is covered. You know, when you look at it that way, that's why the numbers are out, that it's from Ukraine. Over 20% of their territory is occupied. Now we're getting a push into the Dnipropetrovsk Oblast. Where is that? I'm going to put that in red. And folks, huge oblast. Has the tremendously large town of Dnipro and Kryvyi Rog. We're getting a push from this side and right there coming into Dnipropetrovsk. Once again, we've got pushes into Sumy. I draw your attention back to the Transnistria. Huge fighting in Mykolaiv. And I just believe this is the line they want ultimately. Cuts off completely the Black Sea. It will take Transnistria. Of course, Moldova could fall in a New York minute, and they would gain all of this. And maybe, okay, Kyiv, you can keep Kyiv, you can keep Lviv, but we've got everything. Now, let me explain to you, if that happens, what the deal is. Here's the deal. And I'm going to make it really big. Dollar signs, mining. The richest agricultural region in Ukraine is right here. Now, of course, we'd have Kyiv and Lviv. So this is what I think is happening. And of course, as I always say, if anybody's jumping in now, they are wondering, am I updating you guys each night about Ukraine or doing an impersonation of Bob Ross? It's not an impersonation of Bob Ross. His would be much, much better. A little bit. He had a nice afro, too. Fro. Is that an afro or a fro? I digress. Zaporozhye nuclear power plant update. I want to update you guys on this. You know, this is in Energodar. This is under the control of Russian military. However, Ukrainian scientists still work there under guard. Here's the update. Russia controls the plant and the Ukrainians work the plant at Energotam. 500 Russian soldiers, they're stationed there, and a large number of equipment and explosives. This creates dangerous conditions for the nuclear power plant operation. All personnel work under great pressure from the invaders. Staff abuse and kidnapping is regular. Employees have been shot, and some are recovering in hospitals. Heavy weapons are regularly fired. It's missing there from the Zaporozhye nuclear power plant. These are the instances of nuclear terrorism. To ensure the security of Ukraine and the world, it is necessary to liberate Zaporozhye, the power plant, from the Russian invaders. So that's Zaporozhye. Kherson. This is a sign that is all throughout Kherson. Two major things are happening in the city and the oblast. On the left, the sign says in the Russian language, working from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Kherson, Ushakova 53. That's the address where you can come and get your Russian passport. Secondly, Ukraine has tried to send a warning to any and all loyal Ukrainians in Kherson, which there are all. The Russian supporters would be such a minute percentage. These people are Ukrainian. This is Ukraine. Well, of course, mobile operators are not working there, so now only you can have Russian SIM cards. And Ukraine has told their people the best way they can communicate to them: do not put the Russian SIM cards in your phones. Do not. Because the moment you do that, they are listening to every conversation you have. They have every piece of information on you. Do not put the SIM cards in. So what happens then? Then these people are out of communication and out of connection. I want to now share with you guys this guy right here, Vladimir Shamanov. Shamanov is a mega. What I mean by mega, chairman of the Defense Committee. So what would he be? Isn't that our armed forces services, whatever it is, committee? I know somebody's going to type it for me, but yeah. This is what he would be the boss of there in Ukraine. He's also served as governors. He's a buddy with Vladimir Putin and very serious. Well, he was interviewed on Russian state television. This is not a screaming nut job propaganda show. This is a sit-down interview. I've got a few minutes of it translated for you, where he just talks about what is going on. It is extremely interesting. And folks, before I show you this, I want to remind you, he's the boss. This is the boss, Shamanov.
Вы согласны с тем, что русский народ с армией неразделим? Кто-то из военных сказал, что война – наша визитная карточка для народа.
Ну, так сложилось геополитически. Построение нашего государства, оно проходило методом расширения территории за пределами нашего государства, какой бы он национальности не был, он там русский.
Да,
и вот этот коллективный русский был вынужден быть в готовности к защите своего отечества всегда. И войн было много. И вот этот конгломерат этносов, примеров и многих других проявлений человеческих качеств сформировал вот эту основу русского воинства, которая сегодня есть наука о боевых потенциалах, которая раз в 5 лет обновляется. Так мы стоим на значительном удалении от других наций, превосходя всех. И это превосходство признано во всем мире. Не надо себя успокаивать. Это пластинка надолго. Если мы хотим будущим поколениям создать нормальные условия, нам в 20-40 лет, меняя или одно, или два поколения, с корнем надо выкорчевывать будет эту заразу. Это будет непросто. Но это должно быть под нашим контролем, и не надо строить иллюзии, что это кто-то за нас сделает. Те, кто рассчитывали, что нас будут встречать цветами, но это одна из главных ошибок, которую мы очень остро почувствовали в первые 5 суток. Сегодня мы как бы преодолели уже эту составляющую, но еще предстоит немало сделать.
Немало, да? То есть все только впереди. Что ждет Украины после спецоперации? В каких пределах, на ваш взгляд, она может остаться?
Ой, это сейчас самый такой труднопрогнозируемый вопрос. Мы не знаем умонастроений населения, какое будет. Мы не знаем, как сложатся наши взаимоотношения с соседними государствами, которые так или иначе будут пытаться повлиять на свое присутствие. Я имею в виду прежде всего Польшу, в какой-то степени Прибалтику, в какой-то степени Румынию. Поэтому предстоит очень длительный временной отрезок, где будем присутствовать только мы. Потому что у нас надо до конца будет демилитаризовать Украину, а это непростой вопрос, который займет от 5 до 10 лет. И второе, это денацификация, которая параллельно будет идти, и формирование власти, которая не запачкала себя с этими неонацистами. А это очень сложно будет сделать. Поэтому поживем, увидим.
А вы видите Украину в составе России? Вот сами.
Если сказать честно,
да.
А нужна ли нам она? Вот если не произойдет этих двух явлений, да, то тогда она нам не нужна, потому что у нас Донецкая и Луганская республики и Крым, но это как бы наши вот, ну Крым это наш, а Донецкая и Луганская республики это стопроцентные союзники. Вы посмотрите, как себя ведут эти нацики. Они взрывают мосты, они уничтожают инфраструктуру. Туда столько надо будет денег вваливать.
Ну, информационно они все это подают, что это мы разваливаем. Информационно
да,
мы проиграли войну в плане информационно. Они подготовлены...
Как угодно они могут, и их прихлебаи, кому они прислуживаются...
пилят фейки эти
да,
там.
Что угодно они пусть делают. Но войны, как имеют свойство начинаться, так и заканчиваться. Так вот, Украина по завершении войны окажется в положении Федорина горе. А вот они будут той Федорой, да, которая останется у разбитого корыта.
А кто это? Вот мы видим города, тот же Мариуполь, он же просто скошен. Кто это будет все восстанавливать?
Мариуполь мы будем помогать. Еще и до миллиардеров, да, их доберемся. И вместе с политическим руководством, такие как подонок Турчинов и мразь типа Яроша и другие, так сказать, мы всех поименно вспомним, как сказал наш верховный главнокомандующий. Все предстанут перед ответом. У нас сегодня есть уже предварительная составляющая по формированию международного трибунала. Мы с китайцами на эту тему ведем разговор, с другими странами БРИКС. Будет 100% международный трибунал по типу Нюрнбергского.
Чувствую туда и Гордона, Дмитрий Иванович.
Обязательно, и Арестовичи, и Гордоны, и прочее это дерьмо. И это мадам, которая нашим женам пилотов пообещала траурные платки и, и этих самых детей-сирот. Все туда придут.
Рано или поздно наша месть вас найдет.
И там они, посмотрим, как они задницы будут волтузить по этим скамейкам. Да туда еще гвоздей надо будет забить. Чтобы вам как рекламу про геморрой показывают, чтобы там им геморрой устроить еще.
I guess that's why you come here each evening, and I appreciate it. I'm telling you the truth. That is what's called internal propaganda. That's not the adrenaline pumping. That is very calculated. Now, I don't even want to show this, but I will. The world was very upset. So the guy you just talking, this butcher, everything going to be dead. Romania will take the Baltics, Ukraine, we'll rebuild Mariupol, whatever. Benches, we'll put nails on them. Everything they done, they're going to pay for. Da 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 da. Okay, you heard it, you watched it, you read it. When that video came out, many of those that remember history, and that's fresh video, but when it came out, people started losing it a little bit because they remembered this. The guy on the right, that's him. Standing there with then President George Bush. And that's not on, I'm not on President Bush there. I'm just showing you how connected, how powerful these guys are. He's standing there meeting, looks to me like the Oval Office, President George Bush. Folks, it's serious. I know it's like a hammer that just keeps hammering, but it's serious. And the other thing that I want you to notice is that guy was honest at the beginning. You said, what? You can't say he's honest. He was, because he said, everyone thought that at the beginning of the war that they were going to bring us flowers and say, thank you for liberating us. But we learned really quickly that that wasn't going to happen. So we changed our strategy. Now we see some of that strategy change, and they're making some pushes. I mean, just to be honest. Tractor Brigade released a video today, and these guys were amazing. They wanted the world to know. They showed some of their old stealings and some of their new. But the tractors, because Ukraine is such an agricultural country, farming, it's unbelievably mega, of course. But the farmers, they wanted the world to know they were pretty famous in the beginning. They're still doing their job. You know, we talk about how people do not understand Russian culture, the military, the propaganda, but at the same time, many do not understand Ukrainian culture and people. They're not going to give up. Track Brigade still building the Ukrainian military by taking tanks and troop carriers and artillery. They want you to know, and they're still planting their fields where they're able to. Pretty cool. Couple of last things here. The brigade is awesome. Yes, they are. And they're really called the Tractor Brigade. Penelope McCullough. Those Russians are totally wrong in their thinking. You got that right. Switzerland says no. What does that mean? Denmark. This is the interesting things from today. Denmark wanted to supply Ukraine with Piranhas, armored troop carriers. Switzerland blocked it. You say, well, how can Switzerland block it? Because Switzerland is a neutral state, but those are actually Swiss vehicles that they have sold to Denmark or have a relationship, an agreement with Denmark. And they blocked Denmark from giving them to Ukraine because Switzerland, due to their status, is not able to provide equipment to nations during wartime. So Switzerland has blocked Denmark from providing equipment to Ukraine. Belgium says no. Unbelievable. M109 howitzers. The picture on the right is the picture. There are buildings and buildings full of M109 howitzers, and Belgium says they can't give them. Why? Because over the last few years and decades, Belgium has sold them off to private enterprises, and now the private enterprises want the money back to resupply their nation or Belgium with the howitzers, and Belgium said that they can't afford it. So since they cannot buy them, they cannot send them. Jania actually sent me a video today about this one because this was actually pretty big news in Ukraine with the Belgians not being able to supply. This was his response earlier today.
Poor Belgians, poor Belgians, poor Belgians, poor Belgians. Poor Belgians. Probably we need to take an offering to help them.
You have his opinion. Poor Belgians. Maybe we need to take an offering to help them out. Pretty good right there. Last thing I want to give you tonight, folks, is a colorful map here. You know what? That's a really good comment there, Mr. Barry. People forget the old hardline Soviets are reemerging. These guys never went away. They are intent on rebuilding the old Soviet empire. Communism has no conscience, has no care for human suffering. That is 100% correct. Judy Dullinghouse, you're right. Switzerland is where Putler's girlfriend and some of his kids are. That's correct. Consolidated list of weapons sent or pending. Ricochet, is that a question for me? Because I do have information on that. But actually working on something for that for tomorrow night, I found some good information. Let me give this to you guys. Very colorful. In fact, I'm going to make this bigger right now so that you can see it here. And I'll talk behind it. You have all the black lines are the pipelines coming in from Russia. The red line in the top center is actually the Russian border. The orange is Belarus. The blue is Ukraine. And the green is Hungary. Now, with the new EU sanctions, fuel coming through the pipeline is not affected. So you can see the pipeline coming down out of Russia. That's the main line from the right. I want you to pay attention, please, to the blue arrow at the top. The pipeline then turns and goes north up to the Baltic Sea, where Russia has shipping ports, complete at St. Petersburg, to be quite honest with you, and they can ship away all they want. Secondly, so the pipeline will work there. Secondly, at the red arrow, the pipeline comes through Belarus into Germany. Or, I'm sorry, out of Belarus into Poland and then into Germany. So the hope there is that Poland will do something to stop the oil flow. And then the final pipeline cuts out of Belarus, comes down through Ukraine, goes through Ukraine, and into Hungary. Remember Hungary, that's the green arrow. They're the guys that are really being a thorn in the side of the European Union. And I will give you this picture last. President Putin today told Orban, Prime Minister of Hungary, that even if the pipeline is blocked, that Russia would guarantee delivery of oil by the sea. That was today. Now, if you go back, kind of interesting. That's why I wanted to show you this image. The pipeline going to Hungary comes through Ukraine. You know, it's nice warm weather now. We can take cold showers. People won't freeze. Ukraine, turn that pipeline off. Folks, that's where we're at tonight. That's the full update, and I made it through. I'm going to hit myself with a little more chloroseptic and keep rolling. Hungary objects to European Union sanctions against Patriarch Kirill. Oh, absolutely. Hungary is in the pocket of Russia. That's not going to change. Objects. We shouldn't be telling what weapons are coming because it just makes Russia attack more. Yeah. That's, well, you have to look at it two ways. They're going to attack anyway. Hate to tell you. Siphon the oil for Ukraine. Now that's a better plan. They're gonna attack anyway. So anyway, folks, this has been a great time, great hour. You're fully updated tonight. No telling what's going to happen. Tomorrow will be day number 99. For day 100, Virginia and I are planning some special things. I've already told him he'll be live the whole hour that night. No choice. Anyway, lots of stuff already in the pipeline for tomorrow, and look forward to updating you guys more and more. Thank you guys. Be blessed. Peace to you. Peace to Ukraine. See you in 23 hours. Good night.